Hi there, grade 10. So this time I'm going to run the same material that you've already had one video for, but this time when you have to submit a question, you'll see a green box down in the corner. You'll see. May the wisdom of the all-compassionate one so shine within our hearts and minds this day, that we may be enlightened in our acts, thoughts and deeds, so shall we learn to be true, good and happy, and attain the spiritual peace. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. Unit 1 talks about the human person as a moral being. In this unit, we explore the concepts of intellect and free will, the moral context of our relationship with others, freedom and decision-making, and dignity as an innate value. So you'll find this on the page 1 of your books, with a big illustration on there. The unit allows us to discover important concepts that will shed light on the following questions. So I want you to answer these too. There you go. See, I do want to draw your attention to this. This is what's been added now. Every time you are supposed to answer that question and submit it on a PM, you'll see that green box. Are we fully capable of coming up with correct decisions? Answer and submit. Next, question and submit. Why are we accountable for the consequences of our decisions and actions? What is the moral context of relating with other people? Answer and submit. How can we protect and promote human dignity? So 4 questions, 4 submissions to put in. How can we protect and promote human dignity? Answer and submit. In this unit, we can find real-life examples wherein the concepts of intellect, human freedom, relationship, and human dignity are demonstrated, as well as the challenges that we must face and respond to if we are to create a moral and just society. Also, values such as mindfulness, justice, selflessness, and reverence for life are highlighted and intimately linked with how we are supposed to live and act with others in the society. So that's the end of the introduction there. Now, if you look in the top right-hand side, you'll see which page we're on. So if you need to know that, you'll always see it here. Rediscovering intellect and free will. There should be a quotation in there. When we show we care, everybody wins. The Street World Cup. Man is a free being. However, our freedom is not absolute because it is anchored on man's capacity to do what is right and good. When we commit acts that hurt ourselves, other people and the world, that which we live in, we are actually misusing our freedom. It is said that a person's freedom ends where another person's freedom begins. This tells us that while we are free, our actions must not be the cause of another person's pain or misery. Also, it is from human freedom where our free will emanates. This means that we can shape our own life and perform deliberate acts. However, we have to be responsible for the choices and decisions that we make and be accountable for the consequences of all our actions. Let us further discover how freedom and free will are highlighted in the experience of the participants of the Homeless World Cup. However, we have to be responsible for the choices that we make and be accountable for the consequences of all our actions. Actually, those two are in the last two are in the wrong order. That should now come now. Let us further discover how freedom and free will are highlighted in the experience of the participants of the Homeless World Cup. Victories of life. Firstly, before we go on to that, do you want you to consider this and answer and then submit your answer. What does it mean to be moral? Pause the space bar here and continue answering that question with a screenshot and put your answer under here in a slightly different color. Some suggestions. Importantly, man has free will, man has intellect, every person has dignity. reason, freedom, and our innate value allow us to become moral beings and perform moral acts. Next, answer and submit. What does it mean to be free? Pause and continue your answering of that and submit that one. Remember that man's freedom is not absolute. This means that man must be responsible for his or her choices and decisions and accountable for the consequences of all his or her actions. So, the Victories of Life, the Street Child World Cup video. Let's watch the video.
Sa ating sarili ang lahat ng kasagutan sa mga tanong na lagi na lang iniiwasan. Nasa ating mga kamay ang ating kapalaran. Nasa ating pagsisikap ang pag-asa ng ating inang bayan. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka bang talaga? Handa ka bang ialay ang iyong puso at kaluluwa? Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka bang tunay? Handa ka bang ialay ang iyong buong buhay? Tunay na revolusyon ay nagsisimula sa sarili. Baguhin na natin ang ating masasamang mga ugali. Palitan ito ng kabutihan ng ating buong budhi. At ang buong bayan natin ay magiging tunay na maluwalhati. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ngang talaga. Handa ka ngang ialay ang iyong puso at kaluluwa. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ng tunay. Handa ka nang ialay ang iyong buong buhay.
Sumama, manalo sa larong ito.
Ipakita sa mundo
Ang galing ng Pilipino.
halina labanan ng pagsubok ng mundo. Hawak natin ng apoy, armas sa pagbabago. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ng talaga. Handa ka nang ialay ang iyong puso at kaluluwa. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ng tunay. Handa ka nang ialay ang iyong buong buhay. Bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka ng talaga.
All right, real message of hope there from the Homeless World Cup of 2010. So let's process that. What's that all about? What makes the Homeless World Cup unique? It's the only thing of its kind. It's very different to what's normally going on with sports, isn't it? So what's that about? So put your answer, and always you pause this video. This whole idea of it is give you time to think, give you time to write, and then screenshot and all those different things, and then submit that on a PM. You can submit them all in one time. You can kind of gather them together. So some kind of ideas you might use are that football competition aims to bring the unique teams of homeless people a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to represent their country and, more importantly, to change their lives. Another question. What makes the Homeless World Cup an empowering event instead of just pure competition, which is like animals rushing for a bone, you know, that's normal. But this is an empowering event. It gives them a certain special thing. So what's your answer to that? Take a pause, hit the pause on the video, and then answer that, submit that one. Here are some ideas. People from different levels of homelessness from different countries come together to a football event and show the importance of discipline, teamwork. They also gain the confidence to get back on their feet. Class, let's read pages 2 and 3 that talks about the Homeless World Cup. Street Child World Cup. Have you heard about the Street Child World Cup? It's a movement initiated around the globe for the purpose of giving street children the protection and opportunities to which all young people are entitled. Held before FIFA World Cup, street children from all over the world, or from all over, gather to play in their own World Cup and attend an international conference. The aim of Street Child World Cup is to challenge the negative perceptions about and treatment of street children around the world. The first Street Child World Cup was held in Durban, South Africa in March 2010, wherein street children from Brazil, South Africa, Nicaragua, Ukraine, India, the Philippines and Tanzania played football. In May 2018, the Philippines sent a team to the third Street Child World Cup. Team manager Roy Moore declared that sending the message of caring for children is more important than winning the coveted championship cup. Children who were given no chance in life, but through their own understanding and experience can achieve so much more. And when we care for kids like these, we can achieve so much. The Philippine team reached only the semi-finals, but carried with them the experience of a lifetime. I would like you to offer your insights on how men and women can actually change their circumstances by using their intellect and free will. So go ahead. Inflame. So that's actually an answer one there. I didn't put a green box, but I should have had one, is you can put your insights in. Okay, let's move on anyway to inflame. Let me ask you, these are your insights. Sorry, there you go. Let me ask you, what is the story all about? Okay, pause and give your answers. Some suggestions to that question. By giving street children the opportunity to play football in the international arena and exposing them to other cultures and the arts, the Street Child World Cup provides them a second chance to live life off the streets and a chance to put their lives on track. The story is all about homeless people from different countries competing in the Homeless World Cup. So the question, how did the Homeless World Cup help change lives of people for the better? Pause and answer. The homeless players learn discipline and teamwork and gain the ability and confidence to get back on their feet. So we're referring to page 3 here. What is the lesson of the story? Please answer and submit. Pause and go ahead. You may have a variety of answers. There are many. What is important is discipline, teamwork, determination, and confidence should be as necessary values to change one's life for the better. Street children who participated in the Street Child World Cup developed self-discipline and self-worth and enhanced their social skills. They may have made wrong choices in life or were victims of unfortunate circumstances. However, due to their participation in the football competition, they were able to assess their situation, consider their options and make the right decisions. Through the Street Child World Cup and the perseverance of the players, street children were given the opportunity to shape their destiny. Question for you, answer and submit. How can you relate the story to your own life? Hit the pause, answer and submit. There are many ways you may answer. It is very important to desire to really change and to work very hard if one wishes to improve him or herself. Class, the story tells us that people sometimes make bad choices in life. But if they are able to assess themselves, consider their options, and choose new, empowering decisions and actions, then they can change for the better. So on to the inflame. We're on page 3, as you can see in the top there. Please answer the reflective questions on page 3. Then I would like some students to share their answers afterwards. 1. Why is it important to consider the possible consequences of our decisions before we act? Answer, screenshot and submit. Why is it a challenge for people to practice true freedom? Please do the same. Answer and submit. And 3, do you think the motto of the Street Child World Cup, when we show we care, everybody wins, is true? Why or why not? So let's have that one submitted too. Now you have answered the reflective questions on page 3. Now I would like some students to share their answers. So that is also a time for submitting them, please. And I can, if that's the case also, then I can also say so, and I'll be able to share them across to the group chat as well. And that's an important part. Over on page 4, we're now on page 4 here. Rediscover the human intellect and free will. Students, define using your own words the following: intellect and free will. Answer and submit. Class, I would like to emphasize that our having evolved or developed or been gifted with intellect and free will puts us over and above other living beings, such as most animals and sea creatures. Let me ask you students to describe how one's intellect and free will can be used for the good. That can be an answer one. There is a link here between the importance of being accountable for one's actions and intellect and free will. So students, please read together with me the following pages 4 and 5. Rediscover the human intellect and free will. Have you experienced a dilemma? That's an answer and submit one. Do you know what dilemma means? That's good. A dilemma is a situation in which a difficult choice has to be made between 2 or more alternatives, especially equally undesirable ones. An example of a person who is caught in a dilemma is one who is made to choose between putting to death a loved one who has an incurable sickness or is in a vegetative state, like in a coma in hospital. One alternative is to discontinue medication and cut the life support apparatus to end the sick person's suffering. The other option is to prolong the patient's suffering while hoping for a cure. We're on to page 5. I don't think that's right. It's still on page 4. It's still on page 4 here. Hoping for cure. If you were put in that difficult position, will you choose to pull the plug or allow your loved one to suffer for an indefinite period of time? So this is wrong, it's actually page 4. Maybe now you are thinking of various reasons to justify your answer. Although it is unlikely that all of us will face the aforementioned dilemma, we do face moments of decisions every day. As we go about our daily life, we are put in a situation wherein we have to make a choice or a decision, act on it, and be accountable for the consequences. Sometimes the choices are clear and simple, or the choice is clear and simple. Perhaps for young people who are studying, it is not really a difficult choice to wake up in the morning, prepare for school, listen attentively to the teacher, do the schoolwork, and strive to attain good grades. However, there will be times when we will be made to choose between two alternatives and make a difficult decision. Take, for example, the following. Should a young man pursue a college degree that his parents want him to take, or should he follow his heart and learn a profession that is akin to his interest? Answer and submit. Should a young woman engage in an exclusive and romantic relationship with the boy of her dreams, or put aside her feelings and follow the command of her parents to prioritize her studies? Answer and submit. We have the mental faculty and capability to decide and come up with the best and correct decision, even though it may seem that we have very limited options at that given moment. Our human intellect is more than capable to process problems and come up with innovative solutions for them. The truth is, we human beings are conscious, free, moral, rational, and capable of abstract thought. When we use our human intellect well, we then continue to make not just correct decisions, but morally sound ones as well. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre claims that man is condemned to be free. Undeniably, human beings have the mental faculty, capacity, and freedom to make decisions. The philosopher Robert Caine tells us that we have free will, and when we view ourselves as agents capable, we have free will when we view ourselves as agents capable of influencing the world in various ways. Open alternatives or alternative possibilities seem to lie before us. We reason and deliberate among them and choose. However, our decisions have consequences that we must face and accept. Hence, our decisions not only affect us, but also our family, friends, and the community that we live in. Depending on how big our circle of influence is, our decisions can affect a few people or the world. It is also important to know that our choices and decisions may be influenced or shaped by external factors. Advice from other people, knowledge that we have gained from school, rules and regulations by legal institutions, expectations by family, friends, and significant others. Yet, ultimately, it is us who choose to do something, act on it, and will take responsibility for it. While some people might say that they should be excused for the consequence of their actions, such notion is absurd. Consider the following thought experiment by the philosophers Thomas Nagel and Bernard Williams. Again, this is not the right. It's showing page 6 and it should be showing page 5, so it's just an error in the slides. 3 persons were accused of a grievous crime, persons A, B, and C. Person A said, "I admit that I did it, but it was not my fault. I consulted an expert, and expert B told me that I should do it. Person B said, I admit that I did it, but it was not my fault. I consulted an astrologer, and person C told me that I should do it. Person C said, I admit that I did it, but it was not my fault. I consulted the moon and stars, and they told me to do it. The judge then said, I consulted my colleagues, and your arguments did not persuade them. So I am giving you the maximum punishment. But please remember that they told me to deliver this sentence. So do not blame me, but blame them. When we try to make excuses for the consequences of our actions and point to others as the reason for our decisions, then we are avoiding responsibility. Come to think of it, if everybody is excused, then how can we reasonably ascribe responsibility to any of our actions? How can we praise or blame anyone if we are all excused? So answer and submit your response to that one. Let us not forget that we have the mental faculty and freedom to decide and act, but we should be accountable for everything that we do. Let's take a pause there. Closing prayer, everyone. Reverently do we pray to Thee, the Holy and Perfect One. We earnestly resolve to understand Thy teaching and to daily tread Thy path. So shall, like Thee, we may attain the peace of Nirvana. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. May be happy.